Ang mga problema na hinaharap natin ngayon, ang katapat ay hashtag ay may solusyon. Ang ugat ng problema ay bigyan ng solusyon. Hashtag ay may solusyon.
It's a joy and honor to be with you today, and there are so many old friends that we have to mention, led of course by our President, Dr. Henry Limbon Leong, our Chairman Emeritus, Manong Lucio Tan, our great friend from Ilocos and the tobacco growing areas, together with his son, our dear friend and ally, Michael Tan, President Domingo Yap, Ambassador Domingo Lee, Tito Jimmy Tan, Dr. Francis Chua, isa pang barkada yan, Dr. John K. Tan, Dr. Alfonso Uy, President Tan Ching, President and Dr. Alfonso C., our friend Angel Ngu, Mary Go Nang, Alex Yap Choti, so many of you and all our officers. Today, as we know, is a triple celebration because it's the 20th Filipino-Chinese Friendship Day. It is also the 46th anniversary of Filipino-Chinese diplomatic relations. Finally, we also know that shortly on July 1, it will be the centenary of the Chinese Communist Party that has ably led the People's Republic through all these years. So truly, there is much to celebrate in every way, both on the Filipino side as well as our friends in China. I'd like to go back to the early years, more than 46 years ago now, when my mother and brother, upon the orders of my father, finally went to Beijing. It was a huge endeavor. It was an undertaking that was feared and, if truth be told, was discouraged by almost everyone. As early as the 1960s, when my father was the chairman of the Foreign Affairs Committee in the Senate, he had invoked the necessity of establishing ties with the People's Republic, our great neighbor. And yet, it was an extremely unpopular effort, given our long-standing colonial affinity with the Americans. But nevertheless, my father insisted there's nothing to fear. The Chinese are people just like us, people with dreams, with tremendous pain, with families, and all these strivings and endeavors in their everyday life. So one day, he said it is time, and as president, he sent my mother to China. Today, we have this notorious picture that you all know, I'm certain, of Chairman Mao kissing her hand. The truth is, it was a very, very simple story. My mother says she entered the room where she was supposed to meet Chairman Mao Zedong. And to my mother, a certified provinciana and a simple Filipina, the first thing you do when you see a venerable older person was simply to make mano po. So yun ang ginawa niya. Nagmano po siya, hinawakan niya yung kamay ni Chairman Mao at hinalikan. Siyempre, for us Filipinos, this is a very simple matter. It is a way of showing respect, and it is also a way of asking the elders to please bless us with their wisdom and their grace. That's all my mother was doing. Funnily, the Chinese and the Filipinos present at that meeting were all agog. There was much confusion. What is going on? But the chairman took the matter into his own hands and determined that perhaps this was a Western style of greeting, that you kiss the hand, indeed, of ladies, or perhaps this was a curious Filipino way of demonstrating affection. Whatever it was, he reciprocated and kissed my mother on her hands as well. Indeed, there are differences between cultures. The Chinese perhaps are not like Filipinos. The Filipinos behave differently from the Chinese, and these differences abide until today. But the truth is, however different we may be, the impulse to make friends and not enemies derives from a place of respect, of deference, and of veneration. Truly, my mother's effort originated from friendship, from trust, from goodwill, and from genuine reverence of the Filipino custom of mano po. Yun lang yun, ganun kasimple. And very often, things have become complicated over the past few years in Chinese and Filipino relationship. What is more important is that we recognize what makes each one of our countries unique. We should recognize not only our differences, but our humanity, our dreams, our needs, all that we strive for our families and our communities. Understanding that each other may be different, but beyond simple tolerance, let us embrace and celebrate those differences and understand that in the end, we can all join and work together. Today, we continue to endure what is one of the most difficult periods in human history. It has been over 14 months since our government has declared our country under quarantine. And indeed, it has been one of the longest, earliest, harshest, and potentially the most expensive lockdown in the world. Each one of us has lost friends and family, workmates and associates. So many people who are dear to us are no longer here. Many of us have lost businesses, forced to shutter many of these livelihoods that they have worked so hard for so long, obliged also to set aside and forego employees who have worked for us for many, many years. It has been a period of intense suffering and difficulty. And yet the vaccinations have begun. And with China by our side, I am certain that we can face this crisis together and put an end to the suffering, the waste, and the languishing economy. It has been said that we should never let a crisis go to waste. This is a crisis of major proportions. Let it not go to waste. Let us bring about finally the changes in our own economy here in the Philippines, the changes in our own culture and in our own government that we truly deserve. Let us also take this to be the opportunity when we finally transform Chinese-Filipino relations, recognizing that perhaps we are different, that we mano po, but they do other ways of obeisance, of kindness, of trade, and of friendship. Let us understand that in the midst of all these differences, beyond simple tolerance, is actually diversity and inclusivity. Together we can face this, and with China by our side, I am certain that we can convert this dreadful pandemic into the opportunity of changing our society and our diplomatic relations to the level that they deserve. To all of you, it will be the Chinoys, the Federation of Filipino-Chinese Chambers, that will play that critical role of translating what is perhaps alien to the Chinese and all the mistakes that we make here in the Philippines, translating and interpreting what is in fact Filipino to the China mainland, making them understand that whatever gestures we make that are odd and maybe misplaced, in the end, they come from the heart with affection and with friendship. And perhaps you too, in the end, here at the Federation, will explain to local Filipinos that the Chinese never meant any ill, and that it was only trade, neighborliness, and friendship that they extend. Congratulations to all of us for a tremendous triple triumph. The 20th Filipino-Chinese Friendship Day, the 46th anniversary of diplomatic ties between the People's Republic of China and the Republic of the Philippines, and shortly, the 100th anniversary of the CCP. 恭喜我最爱的广播音乐电台，恭喜我最爱的广播音乐电台. Mabuhay sa atin lahat. Mabuhay ang Federation of Filipino-Chinese Chambers. Mabuhay ang pagkakaibigan at pagkakaisa sa kalagitnaan ng China at ng Pilipinas. Maraming salamat. Stay safe.